Yo, this is Chris Blair. Just sitting, I'm about to go in this coffee shop and actually sitting outside right now to do this video, but it's hot, really hot out here, so I'm gonna go inside with my computer and get some work done. Before I dig into that, I wanted to just talk about a trick that I've actually been using for quite some time. I'm not sure why I didn't ever make a video about it. Just for some reason I just never did. There was no specific reason, I just didn't think to make a video on it. Gonna let people gather here for a second before I talk about this trick. This trick will allow you to, one, discover audiences that you would have never thought of. Okay, so just imagine being able to think of audiences that are, okay, so normally we have this very natural audience that we target, right? And then we may expand that somewhat, right? But this is a trick that will allow you to go way beyond anything you probably ever thought of, even if you were racking your brain. When you have a high converting product, you often start thinking, okay, well, sure, I targeted everyone, and you start to think of ideas, and yeah, and from that brainstorming exercise, you can come up with some unique ideas, but this trick will take it to a whole new level. This is this trick on steroids, okay? So I'm gonna get into that here in a second. And what I love about this trick is a couple things. Number one is your competitors almost always are not thinking about this idea. I mean, I can almost guarantee that 99% of your competition has not thought of this, okay? And they're not doing this, and therefore they're not targeting this audience, right? Even if they are doing this, they're not necessarily targeting the same audience. Why? Because this produces different results for everyone, okay? Number two is, because this is an audience that's very unnatural and unusual, when you present your products, for example, I'm in the beer niche, right? When I present my beer niche products to these type of audiences, I get really good results with them. In fact, they often will convert better than the natural audiences. The reason being is, now they won't convert better than natural audiences long term, right? But in a short period of time they will. Why is that? Well, because the natural audiences are being heavily hit by my competitors, right? I mean, it's obvious, right? I mean, okay, I'm going to go ahead and use my niche for an example, right? I'm in the beer niche, right? So obvious targets would be Budweiser and Dos Equis and Coors, these type of companies, and those are obvious targets that anyone in the beer niche would be amiss if they're not trying to target those and test those targets. There's something seriously wrong with the person. Okay, so but what's cool about this trick is it's completely out of that scope. So you end up with a whole different target that your competitors are not targeting, and this is a whole new way of finding a natural target. So because you're doing this method, no two businesses get the same result. It is virtually impossible for two businesses to get the exact same result. Okay, so who wants to know about this method? By the way, I also want to point out I'm going to sit here for another 10 minutes or so after this, maybe 5 minutes after this video, and answer questions. But let me dump in this method here in a second. If you're interested in my coaching or my training, private message me. All right, so let's talk about this trick. Okay, this trick involves using audience insights, okay? And I love this trick. And by the way, when you do this, don't just do it today and then never do it again. You should go back and do it periodically because the results change and differ, okay? So what I do is I go in to audience insights and I put in all the countries that I've ever targeted. So every single country I've ever targeted, right, with ads, right? Well, sorry, okay, unless I've tested a rare target, but on a regular basis. So let's just say you're targeting on a regular basis United States and Canada, then you should put in United States and Canada. If you're targeting Mexico and Puerto Rico, then you should put in Puerto Rico and Mexico. So that's step one, go on audience insights, okay? Step two, skip past the interest, okay? Don't put any interest in there, and go to connections and put in your fan page name, okay? That's right, put in your fan page name. That's step two. Now what's gonna, and by the way, as your fan page grows and changes, right, the profile of people, profile is gonna change on your fan page. It does, right? It does change, and the data gets better and better as Facebook, as you get more and more fans. So don't assume that you did it today, it's gonna be the same in a month from now, because they will change. There will always be changes. Every time I've done this, there's some new targets that come up. Okay, so then I go up to the page likes, okay, and I start looking at the categories and the page and the likes, and I open up and I look at the see more and the see more, because what's first usually comes up in the beginning is those natural ones. But guys, there's tons of unnatural targets that come through. I mean, I don't want to give away all my targets I'm targeting right now, but my best converting ads are not natural targets. They're unnatural targets done through this method right now at this point in time, because right now maybe my natural targets are competitive. Right now, next week it'll be different, and my natural targets will be converting better. But the point is, these are unique targets. My competition is not targeting these with beer related stuff, because that's from my fans, right? Unless, you know, to be able to get the same result, they have to be able to target my fan pages, and not many fan pages are targetable, right? Actually, my fan page is growing quite big, and maybe soon it will be targetable. I'm actually not going to be happy about that, but if it ever becomes targetable, that sucks. But anyway, it probably will at some point. But 99% of marketers' fan page, even if you got a few 100,000 fans like I do, right, you're not targetable by Facebook. But you know, some fan pages become targetable, right? But anyway, so unless your fan page is targetable, there's no way that your competition can get the exact same results. Okay, so that means that your results are unique to you. This is basically, now you've got a unique audience that you can go after. You guys see how cool that is? I mean, think about this, right? Your competition is out there probably thinking of the exact same things that you are, or at least for the natural targets. Now, if you push the envelope and you branch and you come up with unnatural targets and you start to really push it, yes, you can get unique targets, but it's still not something that they cannot think of if they really put in the effort. But with this is something that's unique to you. You have to be able to put in your fan page name and the connections on Audience Insights, and then you get audience suggestions from Facebook that are completely out of the box. So let's just say, for example, here's what I do with this. Okay, let's just say, for example, that the audience suggested is, I don't know, let me think. I got to think of something else. Let's just say that the audience suggested is fishing, okay? It says, my fans like fishing. Well, what I'll do next is go into the Odds Manager or go into Quaya, and I'll start researching and finding tons of fishing. I just don't target the one. I start researching the top 50 to 100 targets in the fishing niche. And I'll start running test ads to all those different targets. So now I'm completely going in a different direction, and my products are unique. When those fishermen open up their news feed and they see a beer shirt or a beer hat or a beer whatever instead of a fishing thing, that catches their attention, and it's more likely to convert. Anyway, that's just one, by the way, one out of the box methods that I teach in my course. If you want access to the beta course, private message me. If you want my private coaching, private message me. I'll answer any questions you guys might have. Let's see here. If there's any questions. Okay, it doesn't look like there's a lot of questions today. It's too bad there's not a lot of people on this video, because this is probably one of the coolest targeting tricks I've ever taught. Okay, it looks like we got no questions, so alright, we'll see you in the next video, and private message me if you're interested in my course or my coaching.